Ever since the first Iron Man movie, it seemed like the MCU has had the box office on lockdown. But it seems like with these recent entries in Phase 4 and Phase 5, Marvel movies haven't been performing the same way they were before. And there's been a lot of backlash from the audience, well, from certain segments of the audience regarding the performance of the movies. Maybe Marvel's not doing the movies like they used to. Maybe there's something missing. And so it begs the question, is it time that Marvel dumb things down for the audience if they want to get back to that top spot with all of their movies the way they used to? And so this video, I want to talk about Marvel Phase 4 and Phase 5, what's going wrong and how they might fix it. What's up, Acolyte Squad? My name is Prince and I'm an urban acolyte. This video, we're not talking Star Wars, we're talking Marvel. This is a topic that's been on my mind for the last few months. I'm doing Vlogmas, so I'm just going to be posting videos about anything this month. But anyway, let's cut it on the small talk. Let's get into the topic. All right, so like I was saying, Marvel, the MCU was killing it. Phases 1 through 3, and then Phase 4 and Phase 5, we start seeing this backlash. Talk of superhero fatigue, and of course, there's that same segment of the fandom that blames everything. Well, Marvel's gone woke. That's the problem. Marvel's gone woke. Whoa, whatever that's supposed to mean. So let's look at the backlash, right? So I pointed out four big reasons for the backlash coming from the audience. Maybe you guys know more. You can chime in the comments, right? So I've got lack of a clear overarching narrative, right? So in phases 1 through 3, look, we knew what was going to happen. Even if you weren't a big comic book person, right? Like, I never read anything about Thanos and the Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Saga stuff since I was in middle school in the early 90s, right? I knew Thanos and Adam Warlock and that stuff, right? But even I knew, somebody who doesn't read comic books or hadn't read comic books in like 20 years, I knew that, hey man, Thanos, every movie has something to do with finding an infinity gem or something around having to do with infinity gems. At some point Thanos is going to show up. He's going to have the gauntlet. He's going to get all of the infinity gems and he's going to snap away everybody, and then all hell is going to break loose. And that's exactly what happened. People knew, they were anticipating what was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen, and we were building up to see how this Infinity Saga wraps up and what happens. People knew that story, right? But now it's not so clear. Now we're dealing with the aftermath of the Infinity Saga. That's what Phase 4 was about, and kind of what Phase 5 is about too. And you've got this new dude who's showing up, who's Kang. But I'm going to talk about Kang a little bit later, so hold that thought, right? So the other reasons for backlash, there's an inconsistent tone and style, right? So these different MCU projects all feel different, right? Some, there's a lot of comedy and it's kind of fun, but then some are really heavy, right? Like the Spider-Man movies were all fun, but then you got No Way Home. That was really heavy, even though it was dope to see these other Spider-Men that we'd seen from the Sony Spider-Verses, right? We saw Andrew and Toby link up with Tom, right? That was cool. But that movie, like when they killed Aunt May, I was like, I was in disbelief. And then it's like, MJ, she almost ate it too, like. And then when I talked about this in an older video, I was like, right, like Tom he's not yet a Spider Man. Do y'all remember that? If you have no clue, you need to go back and watch it. Maybe you're new here, or you just didn't know that sometimes I do Marvel videos. But that was a dope point that I was making, right? I said we got this kid who's playing in these Spider-Man movies, but he's not yet a Spider-Man, right? He's still a boy. He still has mentors. He needs Iron Man to look up to give him his suits and his tech, right? And then he kind of turned to Doctor Strange, right? But Doctor Strange was not he's not Tony Stark, right? And by the end of the movie, it's like, yo, man, I've been leaning on Tony and Happy and the Stark tech and for my suits and everything, but I met these other guys who are Spider Men, and I see this is what I need to become to as part of my evolution, right? That was No Way Home was a very dope movie, right? It was heavy, but it was dope, right? And then you got like Thor Love and Thunder, where I enjoyed the movie, but a lot of people didn't. And even the previous entry in the Thor saga, right, was I'm about to say Love and Thunder again, Ragnarok, right? Ragnarok was very different from the other Thors. You know, you had the first one that was directed by Kenneth Branagh. If you don't know him, you know, he's a Shakespearean actor, right? And some people thought it was kind of boring. Phase 4 and Phase 5, they've kind of been all over the place, right? They're doing different things with the story, and you know, you had the Nick Fury, the Secret Invasion, where it was like a spy thriller, and people described it as a slow burn. Then you had Eternals, which didn't even feel like a Marvel movie, even though it's dealing with the aftermath of the Infinity Saga, right? And I believe that the whole thing with Tiamat, right, is that they actually may have when what's the Asian chick, Eternal girl. I can't think of the names, but you know, they turn the celestial into stone, right? Some people are saying that's adamantium, right? And that's gonna start an arms race, or whatever element or mineral that's not naturally found on Earth that could potentially be the next big arms race. And that's what's gonna be the big thing that they're dealing with in Captain America New World Order, and the other movie that's coming out that that's gonna have I call it Marvel Suicide Squad, right? I can't think of the name of the movie, but I'm hearing that those movies are gonna deal with this new arms race. Now that nobody can get their hands on vibranium, thanks to Wakanda and the Atlanteans sort of kind of teaming up, to keep their vibranium under their control, right? So, my point is that these projects, they all have different feels, different flavors, and some people, they're just not vibing with that. The other thing, character oversaturation, right? So some people feel like there's too many characters now and it's difficult to follow. I've got, a lot of this backlash sounds kind of silly to me because, like I said, this is what's wrong, and we're going to talk about how to fix it. All right, and then the other one, emphasis on quantity over quality, which really just sounds like, another way of saying character oversaturation, right? There's too many projects and people are getting fatigued. I think that's silly. If you like comic books and you like superhero movies, then you're naturally going to want to see more of that. People who, they're just kind of casuals, they're not going to want to see every little thing on Disney Plus and going to the movie theater and because they're casual fans, right? And the thing about when you have a blockbuster movie, the thing about these blockbuster movies is they bring in the casuals, and they don't just bring in the casuals. They make the casuals want to come back and see it again, right? Because the hardcore fans are going to come out regardless, right? But it's the casuals where you make your money. But let's move on. All right, so the next thing, because the big thing with Phase 4 and Phase 5, where they're building up to the Kang dynasty. So, it's like all of these movies that are kind of dealing with the multiverse, and some of them are setting up other storylines. Like I said, I said this a long time ago, that there's the big storyline that's going to, be some Avengers level threat, but then it looks like they're doing this other storyline where there's things happening on Earth, right? And we've kind of seen that. But even those things happening on Earth, it looks like they're also building up to some Avengers level threat. If not all these little other projects building up to like something that happens in the Kang dynasty, then Secret Wars, because Secret Wars, however they do that, that's going to be huge, right? There's things I'm reading, but those things could be changing, depending on how I guess the outcome of the Kang dynasty and with Jonathan Majors thing, right? Because yeah, like Jonathan Majors could end up being more than just Kang. That's the rumor, but it's all contingent on his legal situation, right? But like I said, there's this thing about Kang is that he's a lame villain. That's what some people are saying, right? You look at the expectations that were set by the Infinity Saga. Like Thanos came in and he beat the brakes off the Hulk. He already had beat the brakes off of Thor, right? He killed all the Asgardians, right? So it's like you knew, hey man, in a punching match, this dude is gonna win, and that was with only 2 Infinity Gems, right? And he takes on everybody, right? He's taking on Iron Man and Spider-Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and just he's whooping up on everybody in Infinity War, right? And then you see Kang, the different variants of Kang, right? We come in, and this is what I was hearing, right? Is that Thanos is beating the brakes off of people. One Kang the Conqueror, can't even beat Ant-Man. He gets beat by Ant-Man, and I'm like, well, he doesn't have all of his tech, and that's what one of the things that makes Kang so superior is he has all of his tech, and then he's from the 31st century, so he's supposed to know it all. He's seen it all. He knows what you're gonna do before you do it. He's been all over the timeline, so he knows what you're gonna do before you do it. And it's like, well, how do you beat somebody who anticipates everything that you're gonna do before you do it, right? So so I felt like and then apparently there's more than one Conqueror. That's what we learned from the season finale of Loki, right? They said that there was a Kang from a adjacent 616 timeline. There was a Conqueror who was defeated, but that wasn't the Conqueror that was defeated in Quantum Mania, right? But then they were like, oh, and then but Loki and Sylvie, they beat He Who Remains. He's supposed to be the biggest, baddest of all the Kang variants, right? Because he locked the Kang, the group of Kangs. What are they called? Like all of the Kangs that team up together, right? They're like locked somewhere outside of time, outside of the timeline, and then they lock the Conqueror, away in the quantum verse, and he's sitting there at the end of time, kind of pulling all the strings. Not really, it's more deleting all the strings, because he's like, yo man, the sacred timeline is my timeline, and I'm going to ensure that my timeline happens and none of the others happen, so I'm just going to get rid of all of them, right? But then we learn that yo man, Sylvie didn't actually kill him. They didn't beat him. That was all according to design. That was all part of his plan. And I'm Thor. Loki was really deep. Like, it made me wonder if He Who Remains was like, well, I know Loki's not going to kill Sylvie because he loves her / loves himself. He loves his variant, and I think that maybe he thought, yo man, the only choice they can make is to go live somewhere in the timeline and be together and just let everything remain the way it is. And I really don't think he anticipated, Loki would replace him, even though it's kind of how he was talking. And so I don't know. It was really deep. Like it, that's that's one of them crazy things about like time travel and all of that, and in these multiple timelines where here this dude is, and he's like, well, I really don't know what's gonna happen from this point. And he could have been lying. I don't know, but I think either way, he was like, regardless of what choice you make, right? The multiversal war is going to be inevitable. I'm inevitable, and everything that's bringing you here, right, is inevitable. It's going to happen, regardless of what choice you make. So we'll see how that plays out. It was a very interesting thing, right? But the point I'm driving at when I'm saying all of this is like Kang is not gonna outpunch anybody, even though I'm reading his, in the 31st century, basically everybody's a super soldier. So he's got the physical capabilities of a Captain America, and I want to say the brain of a Tony Stark, but from where he comes from, uh, Tony Stark is a moron, right? Just 31st century. Look at somebody from, you know, 2,000 years ago compared to where we are now, right? They are not very smart. Right? It's just the way it is. It's like we get smarter, we got access to better tech. So eh, Kang's Kang's power is his intellect and like I said, the fact that he knows what you're gonna do before you do it, and then there's an army of him, right? We've only seen them 1v1, Kang, or 5v1 or whatever, 3v1, I don't know, in Quantum Mania, right? But what do you do when there's an, near infinite number of Kangs? The only way to really beat them is to get them to, I think I read somewhere that the problem with the Kangs is, right, you've got like the contingent of Kangs, they're all grouped together, the Council of Kangs, that's what they are, right? But within the Council of Kangs, right, how many of them have the possibility of becoming the Conqueror? That was the big issue, right? Is it's like, you know, one of them will get greedy and become Kang the Conqueror, and who knows? You could have, a million Kangs and then 100 Conquerors, and and it's almost like the only way to defeat them is to get one to become the Conqueror, and they're all focused on that one or that two. But it's like, well, what if you have more than one? Then you got a MF and problem, right? So that's something I don't feel like people are thinking about. They're just looking at what they see, and they're not thinking about the bigger picture, right? This is why I'm asking a question. Does Marvel need to dumb things down for the audience? Because a lot of this backlash, I just feel like, man, people aren't getting it, right? So, I don't really know, what you can do about this issue, right? You have to acknowledge the importance of appealing to both the casual and dedicated fans. The casuals, I don't feel like are getting it, right? The casuals didn't turn out for the Marvels. It doesn't have anything to do with woke Disney or any of this other stuff, right? I think it's more, you know, part of it has to do with the strike, the writer's strike, the actor's strike in Hollywood, where the actors couldn't promote the movie, right? All this woke nonsense, that's a hit piece, right? Why is the movie woke when you have, a female director who's black? You've got 3 stars. One of them, they say she doesn't want white men to see her movie. That's not what she said at all. Anybody who says that is what she said, you're either lying or you're a moron, because you can look it up, right? If you look at the context that she said it in, she was talking about A Wrinkle in Time and talking about movie critics who don't identify or are not the target audience of a film, but they're the ones who are going there as critics and giving their piece and saying how the audience should think and feel about the movie that clearly wasn't designed for them, right? That's what she said, right? Um, and then you've got, Teyana Paris, a black woman. You got Iman Vellani. Is she really Pakistani? I don't. I know her character is. I think she. I think she's exactly like Miss Marvel. I don't know. I haven't really looked into her, right? But you know, you have three characters who team up, and the actresses, you know, who are playing these roles, they can all easily be targeted by a certain group of fans, um, who can easily find fault in in those groups, right? Um, and I mean, you had the big huge backlash in the first Captain Marvel movie, and I'm like, this is stuff that people are creating. They're not really. I mean, the whole theme in the first Captain Marvel movie was sisterhood. So then you have another movie, and the theme is sisterhood again. Whoa, and I'm like, I haven't even seen the movie, and I haven't seen it because I got my daughter and my niece here. They're too small to go to the movie theater, so so I couldn't go out and see it. But the as soon as it hits Disney Hotstar, that's what I have over here, Hotstar Disney Plus. We're watching it, right? And my daughter's gonna know that, hey man, Daddy is a big Captain Marvel fan, and it doesn't have anything to do with whatever reason, whatever narrative some dude online who doesn't know me says. I said this a long time ago. I pick my superheroes by video games. Captain Marvel was dope in that whatever Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the second one, Civil War. I played Captain Marvel and was wrecking everything with her, and I was like, yo man, I like Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel's dope, right? And that's why I like Captain Marvel. I think Brie Larson's cute, but it doesn't have anything to do with Brie Larson and her comments or whatever. I just think Captain Marvel's dope in the video games, and I enjoy her movies, right? I think she's a dope character, and that's it. And I don't really have to explain myself to anybody. I like what I like. Some people eat ass, and some people don't. Isn't that what I used to say? Some people enjoy eating booty like groceries. I'm not one of them, but I ain't gonna fault them. I'm not gonna make 50 videos, two videos a week every week for the next 5 years, criticizing people for their choices, unlike some people, or criticizing people for choices that I don't like, unlike some people. Fandom menace bitches. All right, I said I wasn't gonna go hard on them, even though this video really, this video really is. Does Marvel need to dumb down their movies for people that call themselves the fandom menace, right? The people who make all this comic book movie stuff unenjoyable for people who just want to see superheroes and people getting wrecked and all of this, and they start bringing in identity politics. It's woke. Shut the fuck up. All right, so so they need to find a balance, emphasizing the need for well-developed characters and compelling relationships. I really feel like they're doing it, but like I said, they need to dumb it down. Finding a balance to advocate for clear and concise storytelling. They need to dumb it down. Suggest providing opportunities for new fans to get caught up on MCU lore. I don't know. I feel like you can go and watch these movies and you don't need to have watched, I feel like everybody feels like they need to be a completionist when they don't. If you're interested in seeing a movie, just go see it. And then it's like, oh, well, let me go back and check out the other stuff, the other projects, right? Like everybody feels like it's FOMO, fear of missing out. Like I'm going to go see this and I'm going to not understand what's going on. And I'm afraid, like, really, if you want to see it, you don't need to. It, I haven't watched Star Wars in a year. I don't feel like the next thing that comes on Disney Plus, Mandalorian season 4, Andor season 2. If I want to watch it, I'm just gonna sit down and jump right in. And if I want to go back and check out, okay, well, I stopped watching in the middle of Obi-Wan Kenobi because I caught COVID, and then my wife got pregnant, and then we were just too busy, and then the baby was here. And, well, we went on family vacation. Baby was here, and just didn't have time, and didn't have time to watch anything, right? I have this channel, right? So I really should be, you know, reading every book and checking out everything. I ain't got time to do that anymore. I got a whole other channel that's way more successful than I've been with Star Wars. I got another channel that was the whole reason that I started doing YouTube in the first place. I'm trying to launch, right? I don't have time. But if it's something I want to see, I'm just going to watch it. Right. And I don't understand why people feel like, oh, I'm missing out. Well, I can't enjoy. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think that way. So, like a lot of times people, I would make these videos and you don't, Prince, you just don't understand. You know what? You guys are exactly right. I don't understand because I don't think that way. Right. If it's something I want to do, I feel like Bruce Lee right now. For you guys that don't know, I have like the best Bruce Lee channel on YouTube, right? So Bruce Lee is like talking about if it's something I'm gonna do, doggone it, I'm gonna do it. And I mean that's exactly the way I think about this stuff. If I want to see it, if I'm gonna go do it, I'm not worried about what if I'll make videos about Marvel, and there's always some dickhead who's gonna get in the comments and correct me on everything. Probably done it in this video because I couldn't remember the Council of Kangs, right? Probably deleted their comment if they made it this far. I don't care, right? Like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna worry about the naysayers and people calling me woke or whatever because I don't care. They don't really exist to me. Their opinions don't matter, right? To close this out, how does Marvel do better? How do they do better? We need to reiterate the potential of Kang as a formidable villain, right? I don't know if Captain Marvel, the Marvels has done anything for Kang. I've tried to remain spoiler free. I know that there's some potential multiverse stuff that's coming up. Just because it's hard for me to do this and to remain completely free and ignorant of spoilers. So I know a little bit of stuff, but I don't know a lot. I know very little, right? But there needs to be something that really, because right now we know he who remains is he appears to be off the grid, and the Conqueror, was he defeated in Quantum Mania? I thought maybe he got trapped somewhere else. I didn't think he died in Ant-Man, but we'll see. Right? But we still don't know what kind of a threat, and we don't know what the other Kang variants, like what they're doing. They're talking about, yo man, they've learned to touch the multiverse. Okay, so what does that mean? What's the role of the TVA? Like, is the next Deadpool movie, is that gonna really up the ante as far as the whole potential of another multiversal war, or what's coming? Right, all we hear is my variants are out there, be careful, but like we really don't know, right? And that's the big thing is like with Thanos, hey man, it was must see TV. It's like, what's happening next? What's happening next? When is Thanos coming? Is he getting closer to finding all 5 of the gems? Are they finding all 5? How is Thanos going to get them? Okay, this one is on Asgard. This one, the Guardians of the Galaxy took it to the Collector. This one is on Earth. Where this one is in Vision's head, right? But how's Thanos going to, like, Every movie you went in wanting to know that. But this one is like, yo man, I don't understand what's with Kang, right? I don't understand what this other storyline. Where does the Eternals fit into all of this, right? Well, what about the other Celestials? You know, is Galactus a Celestial? Is he? What is he? Is he part of this? Which means, you know, Silver Surfer and right. And you know, what about She-Hulk? Like, what about stuff like that? You know, we got Daredevil come. What is Daredevil? Where does he fit in with this? Is he gonna fight Kang? What about She-Hulk? You know, why is Hulk out in space and now we got, you know, his son, you know, what's his name, Scar or something? Well, like, there's all these, you know, what about the new super soldiers? And you know, we got, you know, the black Captain America. I mean, not you know, Falcon Captain America, but you know, the what is his name, Nathaniel Bradley or whatever, and then his grandson, it becomes a Captain America of like the Young Avengers, like Isaiah Bradley. So it's like we got we got all these interesting strands that can build up to some really cool stories. And you know, I'm very optimistic about how Marvel is going to tie all of this stuff together and give us one big narrative that the audience will care about. And that's the problem. That's the big thing right now. Is right now the audience doesn't care. I can tell you exactly the difference between Captain Marvel and the Marvels. And like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with this woke nonsense. Because what the hell does woke even mean, right? This is what happened. Everybody got snapped. They started getting dusted, and Nick Fury's pager falls to the ground. He's calling Captain Marvel. So people wanted to know, oh, what's Captain Marvel? Oh snap, Captain Marvel's coming. Yo man, what? It was connected to Infinity War, right? And Thanos, and it's like, yo man, how does she fit in? Okay, we got to go see this movie. But now it's like we don't know what the hell is coming. So you know, it's like, okay, the Marvels. Okay, well, if you watched, you know, Miss Marvel, you know that something happened with her bangle, and she, you know, fucking teleported, and here we see Carol, and where's Miss Marvel? Where's what just happened, right? Like, to me that was exciting, but that's not part of the big story, the big narrative that's going to make the casual fan interested. And that's why the movie bombed, right? We got to have you, like, I'm not saying Marvel really needs to dumb it down, because I like what they're doing, right? But I'm also the guy who sits down and looks at stuff and figures out the plot that's coming, you know, months before it happens, right? Like I did, well, in the case of The Last Jedi, right before I see the movie, right? But I kind of been telling y'all, yo man, this is what's gonna happen, right? So I'm probably not, you know, the average person watching this stuff. But what I'm saying is that um, I feel like the MCU's got to show people the big bad guy that's out there, and just give them a taste. This is what's out there. This is what's coming, and just keep that on the horizon so the people understand what the stakes are. This is what I feel right now. I don't know what the stakes are. Now, I mean, you know, this is the last thing I'm going to say. To me, these are comic book movies, and they're like comic books. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These are your comic books played out on the big screen. And some people are going to watch titles, and other titles are not going to be as popular. And as long as the major crossovers, the major events, you know, make billions of dollars, then they can fund these other little projects that might not do as well, right? But I feel like Infinity War, the Infinity Saga, especially the the two end pieces, Infinity War and Endgame, they really spoiled people. And then, and then you had a few other bangers that came out. No Way Home was big. It made like $1 billion too. And the second Black Panther, they come close to making $1 billion last year. I don't remember because I saw the movie, but I don't pay attention to the news like I used to, right? But I feel like some of these investors, they feel like, all right, every time a Marvel movie comes out, it's gonna make it's gonna do a billy, not a milli, a billy, right? Same way Star Wars. Star Wars was always a major blockbuster. It was a huge tentpole event, and then it wasn't, not really. And now, Kathleen Kennedy's like, all right, well, we got to get back in the lab and figure this out. Star Wars movies are supposed to be this huge thing. Everybody comes out for a Star Wars movie. Will they be able to recapture the magic? I don't know. For a while, people were saying, yo, man, Marvel is the new Star Wars. And now it's, can Marvel recapture the magic? Look, y'all, I really don't know. But like I said, it's the movies that come out and do billions or make $1 billion. They appeal to the casual fan, the casual audience. So, the only way I really know is, you got those big names. I mean, Thanos. Who knew that he was a big name? He was a big purple dude that you couldn't really outpunch. But in the end, they did kind of outpunch. Well, Captain Marvel, of all people, outpunched him, right? But they had to outthink him, right? It took everything that everybody had to put him down. And you got to present a threat like that from the very beginning. You got to show people what the stakes are. And I guess right now Marvel hasn't done that because they're setting up all these different storylines. Maybe when they get to Secret Wars and Doctor Doom, they might do that. Maybe they have something still up their sleeve, because what I'm hearing is that the Beyonder might take on the appearance of a Kang variant. That's what I heard. That's where one possibility, depending on what happens with Jonathan Majors, is that he could be playing the Beyonder. So we go back to Secret Wars. I don't know. I guess Marvel, they recycle storylines. It sounds like. I remember Secret Wars from the 80s when I was a little kid. I had some of those comics. Well, you had the first Secret Wars, I guess, where everybody was on some planet and they all fought. And that's where you got the symbiote suit Spider-Man. Then you had Secret Wars 2 with the Beyonder, right? And I heard that might be where they're going. Could the Beyonder, or the Doctor Strange with the cosmic cube, or he finds a way to get the Infinity Gems or something else on that level where the hardcore fans are screaming and geeking out to the point that the casual fans get interested? I don't know. That's something that could happen. I would like to see it happen. I'm not a comic book reader, but it would get butts and seats and people would forget about all of this. But to get there, we have to be able to bridge the gap from the Infinity Saga to the next big thing. And that's really that's what I feel like the issue is people aren't letting the story build up. We got to bridge the gap, right? This is the aftermath of Thanos and that story. And now we're introducing new heroes, right? Because we need those heroes. Some of them might end up being cannon fodder for the Kang dynasty or for what comes next, right? And we've got to get more powerful people, right? And we're building up to these, Sentry coming in this new movie, and and then we got the Super Skrull, right? We've got to build. We got to introduce these people, and not because if they just throw them out there, then then you got the same problem DC had, where it's like, yo, man, we're just throwing the Justice League out there. Here they go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here you go. Here's Wonder Woman. Here's Flash. Here's Aquaman. Here you go, right? And the audience doesn't like to be bukakied by a bunch of characters, right? Nobody wants that. I know I don't. Some of you freaks, I don't know. Nobody wants that. So, we gotta, hey man, y'all need to chill out. Just let that thing simmer and we build up to it and let it do what it do. But anyway, guys, I talked way longer than I thought I would. I thought I could do this video in 15 minutes, but apparently I could not. I don't know how much I'm gonna edit out, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Marvel, how to fix it, and I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think has gone wrong with Phase 4 and Phase 5? And what would you do to fix it? Or maybe you think it's, hey man, it's been all gravy, baby. I mean, maybe you're just like me and you think it's all been great. I haven't had a problem with anything. Like I said on my social media, here in Thailand, movies come out like Wednesday. As soon as like the movie theaters are in malls. So it's like as soon as the mall is open, they don't even say, oh, you gotta wait till 7, 8 o'clock. It's like noon. You go in there and see it. Like I said, yo man, I would have seen Captain Marvel, while y'all were still in bed, a day before it even came out. Most of the movies, that's when I see, it's like, man, it's like I could spoil everything, pretty much everything, if I wanted to, if I actually go to see it. But I don't. Most of the time, I don't even come home and go to sleep. But yeah, so I really wanted to see it. I couldn't, because I got a family now. Had to make sacrifices for the family. I'm not too upset, but it makes it hard to do this channel, right? Because it's like, what happens when a Star Wars movie's out and I can't go to the theater to see it, and then people are, oh, I want to hear your thoughts, and I'm like, I don't have any thoughts. I haven't seen it, right? Or maybe something comes out and it doesn't come out over here, right? I don't. Americans really don't. It kind of. I notice like Americans think the rest of the world is like America. I've noticed that, like, since I've been over here. Like, I've been out of the country because I've been in the military, and I did high school trip to Paris when I was 15. So I'd been out of, but I never noticed certain stuff until I like actually lived in another country. Like, I've been here 4 years now, and it's like I noticed, like, I talk to people, and a lot of Americans think everywhere is like America, and I'm like, it's not. It's really not. I'm thankful for that, but I do miss Wendy's. I could go for a Frosty and a double cheeseburger right now. Miss good pizza, but yeah, some of that other BS, no. Nobody's over here screaming something's woke, except for another dumbass American that needs to go home. So yeah, guys, that's those are my thoughts on Marvel. The next video is probably gonna be shorter because I'm probably just gonna look at an article and tell you guys what I think about it. But maybe I just needed to get on here and rap with y'all since it's been a minute, and start to kind of get my bearings back under me to start posting to some of my other channels. So I want to get more active on this channel, but I really want to do get into anime, talk about Dragon Ball now that there's a new Dragon Ball coming out. That's not on this channel. There's another Urban Acolyte channel that's just gonna be strictly for anime and like martial arts related anime stuff. So yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for this one. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you always.